There is an undeniable truth. People constantly talk about each other. Some offer praise, some criticize, some admire, but there are also those who judge harshly, even launching bitter attacks. If you have ever been talked about negatively, remember that it is not necessarily a sign that you are on the wrong path. It may actually be proof that you are doing something remarkable. We cannot control what others think or say about us, but we can control how we respond to it. If someone speaks ill of you, ask yourself, is there any truth in it? If there is, take it as an opportunity to improve yourself. If not, let it go, because those words do not define your true worth. Imagine yourself as a boat in the vast ocean. The waves are the rumors, the negative comments. If you let the water seep in, you will sink. But if you steer firmly, not allowing those waves to shake your resolve, you will continue moving forward. History has shown that those who dare to be different, those who stand up for their beliefs, and those who defy the majority to pursue the truth, will inevitably become the subject of gossip. Think of the great figures in history: Socrates, Galileo, and Einstein. All of them faced harsh criticism, were misunderstood, and even condemned. Socrates was sentenced to death for his philosophies, yet his ideas have lived on for thousands of years. Galileo was placed under house arrest for asserting that the Earth orbits the Sun. But today we all know he was right. Einstein was once regarded as an eccentric, yet he ultimately transformed humanity's understanding of the universe. Did that stop them from leaving their mark? Absolutely not. So why should you let criticism bother you? Remember, if no one is criticizing you, you are probably standing still. Criticism is a test that strengthens your character, sharpens your intellect, and reinforces your determination. So instead of fearing it, be grateful, because it is a sign that you are rising to a higher level. There is a fascinating psychological rule. If you want to know what someone truly thinks about you, make them angry. When people lose control, they reveal their true nature. In moments of anger, they remove the mask of social politeness and express the hidden thoughts they have kept inside. That is when you can clearly see who truly values you and who is only maintaining a relationship for their own benefit. Think about the times you've argued with someone. Have they ever said things that surprised or even hurt you? Those words might have been hidden truths they never dared to admit when they were calm. A true friend will not use anger as a weapon to attack you. Instead, they will exercise self-control and maintain respect. On the other hand, those who only pretend to be friendly will expose their true colors the moment they lose control of their emotions. There is a saying, "I have learned wisdom from fools because I avoid what harms them." Indeed, even the most foolish people can teach us lessons, not through their words, but through their mistakes. Imagine you are walking down a path full of obstacles. If you see someone trip over a rock ahead of you, you will know to avoid it. But if you are too overconfident and think you will never fall, sooner or later, you will find yourself in the same situation. In life, countless people have lost opportunities simply because of arrogance. Look at entrepreneurs who once achieved great success but later failed due to overconfidence. Look at famous artists who lost their careers because they couldn't control themselves. These are living lessons, reflections that remind us, success is never permanent without awareness and humility. Similarly, some people fail not because they lack talent but because they lack patience. Have you ever seen someone give up just before reaching success? Perhaps it was a student who dropped out due to pressure, only to realize months later that if they had persevered a little longer, they would have earned their degree. Or someone who abandoned their dream after a few failures, only to later regret it when they saw others succeed in the same field. There are also those who compromise their core values for momentary desires. They deceive, cheat, or betray others' trust to gain short-term benefits, not realizing that the consequences of their actions will follow them for life. Such people may seem victorious in the moment, but in the long run, they are always the ones who lose. Life does not always offer a second chance to correct mistakes. Therefore, learn from the failures of others so that you do not have to pay the painful price of experience yourself. Observe, reflect, and constantly ask yourself, if I were in that situation, what would I do differently? When you learn from the mistakes of others, you take a step forward on the path of personal growth. In life, there are two types of lessons. One is learning from the success of others. and the other is learning from your own mistakes. But one thing is certain. Learning from the mistakes of others is always much less costly than learning from your own failures. Think of a child watching their older sibling being punished for lying. They realize the consequences of dishonesty and learn the lesson without having to experience the punishment themselves. Similarly, life constantly offers us lessons through the experiences of others. If you are observant enough, you can gain wisdom without having to endure pain firsthand. But why do people keep making the same mistakes over and over again? Because learning from others requires humility. We often believe that we are the exception, that we won't fall into the same traps. It's like watching a friend invest recklessly and lose all their money. Yet believing you can do better. Only when you experience failure yourself do you truly grasp the lesson. There is an interesting paradox. The truth is often uncomfortable. If you dare to speak the truth, be prepared to be disliked. Not everyone is willing to accept reality, as it is often difficult to hear. How many times have you seen someone react with anger when given honest feedback? Imagine you have a close friend who is in a toxic relationship. You can see clearly that they are suffering, so you tell them the truth. But instead of thanking you, they get angry because they don't want to face reality. Society operates in much the same way. It prefers flattery over warnings. People would rather hear that they are right than hear that they need to change. But does that mean you should remain silent? No, because silence can sometimes be complicity. If you choose to stand up for the truth, accept that some people will oppose you. But that is not what should frighten you, because only when you dare to speak the truth do you truly become yourself. The greatest figures in history never chose silence in the face of injustice. If they had, the world would have seen no revolutions, no scientific breakthroughs, and no progress at all. Life is not a competition to please everyone. If you live by the truth, you may lose some relationships, but those who remain will be the ones truly worth having. And most importantly, you will never lose yourself. Life is like a window. Two people look out at the same view, but one sees the muddy ground while the other sees the stars. One focuses on obstacles, while the other sees opportunities. The difference does not lie in the circumstances but in how they choose to perceive them. It is like two people standing in the rain. One complains about getting wet, while the other smiles because the rain will nourish the trees. So, where do you choose to look? Do you focus on the negatives, or do you find the positives even in adversity? Sometimes, the difference between a happy life and an unhappy one is simply the way you choose to see things. Think about someone who loses their job. A pessimist will drown in despair, blame fate, and resent the situation. Meanwhile, an optimist will see it as an opportunity to start a new journey, learn new skills, and challenge themselves in a different field. History has proven that many successful entrepreneurs failed before finding the right path. Henry Ford went bankrupt twice before building his automobile empire. Steve Jobs was fired from the very company he founded, but that setback gave him the opportunity to return stronger than ever. There is a truth that everyone must accept: not everyone is your friend. If someone leaves you just because you speak the truth, they were never truly a good friend. True friendship is not shaken by honesty. In fact, it is strengthened by it. A genuine friend may disagree with you, but they will still respect you. On the other hand, if someone turns their back on you just because you were honest, smile and let them go. A friendship built on falsehoods can never last. Look at the relationships around you. A real friend will advise you to abandon a wrong path, even if you don't want to hear it. A fake friend will only tell you what you want to hear, even if they know it's not right. Just like a responsible doctor tells their patient the truth, no matter how difficult it is to hear. That is why you should cherish those who are honest with you. They are the ones who truly care. Wise people never stop improving themselves. They do not get trapped in complacency but always strive to become better. They understand that life is like a river. If you don't move forward, you will be swept away. The greatest enemy of a person is not others, but their own bad habits and negative thoughts. If you want to succeed, start by conquering yourself. Think of an athlete training to become the best. They do not just train their bodies, but also their minds. A person may have natural talent, but if they cannot control their thoughts, overcome laziness, or conquer their fear of failure, they will never reach the top. Self-discipline is like daily training. You need discipline, patience, and, most importantly, determination. Have you ever noticed that the wisest people speak the least? That is because they understand that every word carries weight. The less you speak, the more valuable your words become. Like a sharp sword, words must be used at the right time and place. A great leader does not need to shout to be heard. They can say just one sentence, and the entire room will fall silent to listen. Wise people do not waste words on meaningless arguments. They speak only when necessary. And when they do, people pay attention. Remember, you do not need to explain or prove anything to those who are not worthy. Sometimes, silence is the most powerful response. Just like a martial arts master does not need to fight every challenger to prove his strength, a wise person does not need to argue to prove their intellect. Instead of wasting time on unnecessary confrontations, they invest in self-growth, striving to become the best version of themselves. And when that happens, success will speak for itself. Greatness does not come from flattery or the approval of others. It comes from staying true to your values and persevering on your chosen path. No matter how many obstacles stand in your way, many people have been ruined simply because they cared too much about the opinions of others, trapped by societal expectations and external pressure. But there are also those who, even when the whole world turns against them, remain steadfast because they believe in themselves. Imagine an inventor being ridiculed for his ideas, an artist being criticized for his unique style, or an entrepreneur being doubted for their bold vision. If they allowed themselves to be consumed by judgment, the world would have never witnessed groundbreaking innovations. The people who achieve extraordinary things are those who dare to step outside their comfort zones, who embrace criticism, and who persist despite all odds. Do not let others' opinions define you. Focus on your goals, believe in yourself, and keep moving forward. The world may not recognize your worth immediately, but if you are persistent enough, they will have no choice but to acknowledge you. This life does not belong to those who are easily swayed by gossip and negativity. It belongs to those who dare to think, dare to act, dare to fail, and dare to rise again to become the best version of themselves. And finally, always remember, the best revenge against those who speak ill of you is not argument, not hatred, but your success. Let your silence be your strongest voice. For wise people do not waste their time on meaningless things. They stay focused on their goals, persistently work on themselves, and let their results speak for themselves. Your success is not just an answer, it is the clearest proof that you do not need anyone's validation to shine. Look at the great minds in history, those who were doubted, ridiculed, and even cast aside. They did not bow to public pressure but remained steadfast on their chosen path. That is why the world remembers their names. Because when you are strong enough, you do not need to prove anything. Your life itself will be the ultimate answer. Be like a mountain, standing firm against every storm, towering against the sky, never changing your essence because of the noise around you. When you reach the peak, even those who once doubted you will have no choice but to look up. And that is the strongest affirmation of all. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovering meaningful life lessons. If you found these insights valuable, please like, subscribe to Practical Philosophy, and share to spread positive wisdom to more people. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We would love to hear from you. See you in the next video.